What's going on, everyone? So today we're going to talk about some Boba Green. I've been playing it for the past couple of weeks, tuning the list and testing out some stuff. And well, I have just been really impressed with a couple of cards that I've added that I wasn't playing before, as they've just impressed me overall. And mind you, this is a list that has started to appear in a couple of recent tournaments, and of course was kind of the staple set one deck to beat. And it's still an excellent list. I think some of these modifications are really going to put it in a better spot. Not saying that's going to be the best deck, but I do think that some combination of these cards are going to lead to some of the better versions of Boba Green coming in set 2. Now, before we get started, guys, two little things to mention. I have a TCG player link in the description down below. Be sure to use it for any of your card needs. And second, big thank you to my Patreons. We've been chatting a bunch over Discord, and we're going to be doing some viewer games, well, when I'm recording this in the next couple of days. So be sure to check that out down below. Boba Green. We've seen a lot of Boba. I think a lot of you know what he does. Anytime an enemy unit leaves play, we get to exhaust Boba to ready a resource. He deploys on 5 resources as a 4/7, absurd stat line. And anytime we attack and any enemy has left play that turn, you're able to ready an additional 2 resources. So the idea behind this is you play units, you do some trading, but then you get to play more things because of the fact that you are able to ready some additional resources. ECL, or green, the advantage to it is really ECL, the actual base itself. The ability to play a unit early on in the game and give it ambush is exceptionally powerful, but you also get access to a few cards. Now, normally what you're used to seeing is double yellow Boba, right? And you get access to Bodhi Rook, you get access to Cantina Bouncer, you get access to Cunning, and Cunning is by far the strongest card in the list. And it is a shame that we lose out on those. We could play them, but they cost 6, so they're significantly weaker. And there is some cases where I will run them in the sideboard, etc. But with green, as I mentioned, we get access to ECL, which is a really powerful base. We get access to some ramp in the early game, so we get an earlier Boba. And we get access to, well, some cards that we're used to in Overwhelming Barrage and Maul. Overwhelming Barrage is an insane removal and just kind of a one-sided board wipe, especially since you can get Boba Fett down so early. And Maul is just an amazing finisher. Plus, we have a ton of Underworld cards, so we're going to be able to kind of keep him alive. And then the new cards that I have found to be exceptionally good in Boba: Bounty Hunter's Quarry, Commission, and there's some other green cards, of course, but these are the 2 cards that I've been adding to Boba Green. Now, Bounty Hunter's Quarry has consistently impressed me. Of course, the first time I really got to play with this card was in draft, at least in paper, and I was running like Boss Green, and I just saw the immense power of Bounty Hunter's Quarry. Ended up playing with it more and more as set 2 started to release, and every single time I put this in a deck, it just feels like you're getting a 2 resource discount, because there's so many situations where you just want to kill that unit anyways, and getting a free unit out of it that costs 3, well, not necessarily free, but a 2 cost reduced unit is really crazy. And we have some really good ones, especially if you go like Bounty Hunter's Quarry on turn 1. You can grab things like Super Laser Technician, Boba Fett, 7th Fleet. Of course, you can grab any of our 2-drops, but this card has been really excellent. And Commission, this is a nice way to get some value out of your resource pile, but also a way to kind of close out the game by searching for, well, things like Flex Fire Spray, or one of your big bounty hunters like Zuckuss, Forlom, Bosk. It can also grab things like Boba Fett's armor, which can be really good in some matchups. It has been pretty impressive. Now, one of the things that's really nice about these is they both cost 1, right? So one of the big things that you can leverage with Boba in general is 1 costed events, 1 costed units, because you get that resource back if you kill an opponent's unit. So with trading, you can sometimes trade or kill a unit, play a unit, and play a Bounty Hunter's Quarry in the same turn. Of course, you'd have to do that in a little bit of a different order, but that is kind of the power of these 1 resource plays. In terms of the rest of the deck that we got going on with Boba Green, well, a lot of the things that you're pretty familiar with. We got our Greedos, we got a copy of Shoot First, we got ourselves Price on Your Head for some ramp, Time Intervention to potentially ambush out some of our later units like Zuckuss, or potentially even something like as simple as a Boba Fett. I've done this actually quite frequently. We have Dr. Evazan's. This is a deck where Dr. Evazan's way less punishing, as we are trying to play high value units and try to claim some bounties in the early game, and Dr. Evazon's the perfect way to do that. And because we're actively looking to trade, the resource recovery from your opponent isn't as negative, isn't as impactful as something like Boba Yellow, because we can actually hang in the mid to late game. Fugitive Wookiees, another 2-drop. We have the Mercenary Gunships is a nice way to get some air pressure early on. Boba Fett's 7th Fleets, Super Lasers in our 3-drop slot. We have Forloms, we have Bosks, we got Zuckuses, Forlom Zuckus combo, Bosk as another little value piece for when we really want an ambusher over, just playing the Zuckus. And then in the end of the game, we got ourselves the Fett's Fire Sprays and Mauls to finish out the game. And the last kind of special card that we got in the deck is the Relentless Pursuit. We are running a ton of Bounty Hunters. We got Greedos, we got Boba Fett's, we got Forloms, we got Bosks, we got Zuckai, all of which are Bounty Hunters for that shield. And in some cases, Relentless Pursuit can help you claim a bounty if they're behind a Sentinel or whatnot. So that's going to be the new Boba Green. And we're going to dive into some games here today and really see the power of this. I'm pretty excited. Let's talk about it and let's dive into some games. Into our first matchup, we got ourselves a match against Ray Red. And this hand is a little bit awkward as we have the price on your heads, which can be a reasonable turn 1 play. The only thing is Rays usually have very high toughness unit. So I think I'll mulligan this and look for a little bit of a better play on turn 1. And this looks pretty nice. I'm going to go ahead and resource most likely the 7th Fleet and either Maul or Fett's Fire Spray. So I'm going to go turn 1 Mercenary Gunship, turn 2 Super Laser Technician. And because of that, I think 7th Fleet gets a lot less valuable since we should be able to play an Overwhelming Barrage on that following turn. They're going to play a Regional Governor, and hopefully they don't name Super Laser Technician. They do. So good name from our opponent. And that's going to be quite unfortunate for us. So I think in this stage, we just resource it. Nothing really to do there. So really nice turn 1, actually, from our opponent. Sometimes, Regional Governor actually can do some work. In this case, it did. And it kind of screws up our turn 2, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's okay. We drew ourselves at least another play. Drawing this other Maul can be a little bit meh. But one thing about this deck against Ray Red is the commissions and the timely interventions. Those just give you a lot more value. Looks like they're going to put an experience on Regional Governor. They're going to keep a card on top of their deck with the R2. And then we are going to just claim initiative. And they are not going to attack. So that was a mistake from our opponent. We've ended up drawing into all 3 Mauls and a secondary Greedo. So a really rough draw from us, actually. It's just straight up starting us off here today, which is a little bit unfortunate. But sometimes that ends up happening. Let's go ahead and get in for 3 with the Mercenary Gunship. And the reason I'm doing this is because I'm kind of hoping my opponent decides to trade here. Let's go ahead and attack Yoda. Let's see if we can hit a non-unit. We do. We get to kill Yoda. The reason I did that is because there's a good chance they have Force Throw, and that's why they waited for this turn to do that, because they wanted to play Yoda and then play Force Throw to kill my Mercenary Gunship. And then that would have been, not like the worst for us by any means, but it would have just been kind of annoying. So I wanted to go ahead and try and kill off the Yoda. Let's go ahead and play a secondary Greedo. They're going to go ahead and let's see if they attack Greedo. Yep, they do attack Greedo, so we're going to go ahead and discard a card to see if we can hit another event. Nope, that's okay. We're going to claim initiative. So we have essentially wasted a total of 5 resources, and we drew another Fett's Fire Spray. Okay, really just not the greatest draws here, huh? Just not super great. But that's okay. That is okay. Let's just go ahead and start us off with an attack with the Mercenary Gunship. Just get in that guaranteed damage. Let's go ahead and, do I want to flip Boba? I think I do want to flip Boba. Because I'm kind of curious what they want to do with this Regional Governor. And there's a good chance that I would want to Overwhelming Barrage this turn. So they played a Yoda, so that's going to make my play extremely obvious. Because, again, they're trying to set up a Force Throw almost assuredly. Let's kill Yoda, kill R2, and deal 1 to Regional Governor. I don't really see a reason to attack Regional Governor, as that kind of gives me a target for Maul. And I think we are definitely the aggressors here. But definitely in a spot where I think they're trying to set up a force throw. It doesn't really make sense to be having like 4 or 5 cards in hand and then going with Yoda, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and resource this 7th fleet, since we're probably going to be getting down Fett's Fire Spray. And it looks like they have played an Obi-Wan, so we're going to go ahead and attack with the Mercenary Gunship. They're going to ready up a Ray. We're going to play a Fett's Fire Spray. And they're going to attack because they get a restore 3. We're going to attack for 5 here. Oh, they should definitely not attack here. Okay, that was a big mistake from our opponent because we just win now. They can't attack there because we could just attack with Fett's Fire Spray. So what they should have done is taken initiative there, and what we would have done is attack the Obi-Wan. And the reason why we're attacking Obi-Wan is because we have the Maul in hand, and so the Maul would have been able to do additional damage. There's a good chance that we would have won the game even if they hadn't misplayed there, but that was something that they definitely should not have attacked with in that specific spot because, again, we just had lethal on board with the Fett's Fire Spray. So they almost recovered there, despite us having one of the worst draws I have ever seen with the deck. We ended up drawing all 3 Mauls. We ended up drawing double Fett's Fire Spray. We ended up drawing kind of just like an awkward hand with, mind you, all of that alongside them playing Regional Governor and naming the Super Laser Technician. All of that had to transpire for that situation to occur, but it ended up working out for us in the end, and we got there. So pretty good, nice little game 1 for us, and well, I guess you got to see the power of commission because it took out their Yoda. Anyways, on to the next. Into our next game, we got ourselves a match against the Han Blue deck, and kind of an interesting hand. But I'm not going to mulligan this. I'm going to resource one of the Zuckuses and probably resource the Fugitive Wookiee so that we have 1 space unit and Dr. Evazan can come down. Ooh. Do I want to go Mercenary Gunship? I feel like I just want to get down a Dr. Evazan. But we did have an option there. I think that was an interesting one. Drew ourselves a Maul and another Fugitive Wookiee. I'm tempted to resource this Maul at this point, as we can go potential double 2-drop on that following turn. But I think I'm just going to resource the Fugitive Wookiee because this game usually tends to go pretty long. Let's go Boba Fett and see what our opponent plays here. They got a K2, which is okay. We're just going to go ahead and kill the K2 with our Dr. Evazan. They're going to make us discard. That's fine. We'll discard a Mercenary Gunship. And we're going to hope that we draw something here. Drew ourselves into a Maul and a 7th Fleet Defender. So a perfectly reasonable play here. That 7th Fleet Defender is going to kill that A-Wing, which is going to be pretty nice. Let's go ahead and resource one of those Mauls. Now, this deck can really vary. Our opponent's deck, that is, can really vary. As they could be playing a more controlling style, a more like removal heavy style, and it looks like they are playing that more removal heavy style based on what they've played so far. Gonna go on a resource just so that we can get down the Boba Fett this turn. Let's go ahead and attack in with Dr. Evazan. I might just ignore this A-Wing, to be honest. I'm not really that scared of it. That is a Poe Dameron. Let's go ahead and play out the Boba Fett here. And what I'm going to do is Overwhelming Barrage and just kill Poe Dameron. And they could kill the Dr. Evazan to ready up a bunch of resources, which would be pretty reasonable here. We're going to go ahead and kill their A-Wing off. They have an R2 here. Let's go ahead and kill off their Han Solo. That entered play this round. We should have taken damage from the Han. That was not how that's supposed to work. But that's okay. So they could have another pillage here. Honestly, if they have another pillage, I'm completely okay with them pillaging my units. Let's go ahead and attack with 7th Fleet Defender. Rivals fall on our unit really doesn't matter all that much. Let's go Bounty Hunter's Quarry on the R2. Let's go ahead and attack the R2. We're going to be able to get a 3-drop here, and it looks like we will get a 7th fleet, and then we will play out a Super Laser Technician. Maul's a fantastic draw. That is the second Maul that we've drawn, or third Maul, right? Yeah, third Maul that we've drawn. That's a redemption. That is a big unit for sure. They're gonna full heal. Okay. That's not really that strong, to be honest, because we're just gonna kill it, and then, I mean, it was essentially like a gain. I don't know. Well, how much was that? They gained like, they played for 2s. They gained 6 damage and then 3. So they gained 9. It was like a gain 9, which is kind of good. It's gonna resource this Relentless Pursuit. Again, if they have a pillage here, I'm okay with that. If they have a Crate Dragon, I'm totally fine with that. Not really too worried. Let's just start attacking with our space units because we have lethal if they don't have anything to deal with our space units. And this one looks pretty over, to be honest. They're gonna pass here. Let's attack with a Super Laser Technician, and they're passing again. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and kill them. Cool. GG. So I don't know why they were passing there. Maybe they had something to do. I'm kind of curious what they would have had for potentially 6 resources. Like maybe they had, I don't know, if they had like an Obi-Wan, they should have just played it. If they had like, I don't know. I don't know what they could have had that would make them want to pass in that situation. Maybe they just didn't have anything and they just passed because, but I don't really think that was a big mistake from our opponent. It's just that we kind of just ran them over, right? Pillage can work well in certain matchups, but in this matchup, honestly, we're just getting down some early units, putting on some early pressure because we want to claim our bounties. And a lot of our stuff just trades up, right? Like Boba Fett tends to trade up, 7th Fleet Defender tends to trade up, and that's exactly what happened. Like Boba Fett kind of killed their unit for free. 7th Fleet Defender killed their A-Wing for free. We killed their other thing for free. Not for free, but with Boba Fett and Overwhelming Barrage. And then we also made them use their entire next turn, Rivals falling my Boba Fett, which, yes, like that is reasonable, but it's not really something that's actually that scary. Anyways, nice game. On to the next one. Into our next matchup, we got ourselves a match against All Space Sabine, and we got a pretty good hand. We got the Greedo plus Bounty Hunter's Quarry turn 1. Which is actually one of our strongest turn 1s that we could be playing here. And we're going to resource both these price senior heads because we're going to get an early Super Laser Technician down. Now, this is not like, I should say, the ideal hand against Sabine Yellow. Oh, man, they have Ketsu Onyo. Well, that makes this a lot more sad. All right, we're going to claim initiative then. And we're just going to go ahead and ECL out this Super Laser Technician to kill off their Ketsu Onyo here. 7th Fleet Defender. Now that is a card that I am looking for. Bounty Hunter's Quarry, still looking kind of interesting. Overwhelming Barrage also looks interesting. Maybe I just resource this Forlom. The reason why I was like, okay, this is not the ideal hand is because I would actually prefer this Super Laser Technician to be a 7th Fleet Defender, but we ended up getting that anyways. Let's go Bounty Hunter's Quarry on the Rogue Operative here. And I think I'm just going to attack their base as we could set up for a Bounty Hunter's Quarry claimed with the Overwhelming Barrage and the Boba Flip. Pretty nice one. Definitely a different list than I'm used to seeing with the Boba Yellow, or Sabine Yellow. But we have a pretty nice hand. They don't really have any answers to us flipping Boba Fett. They don't have like ECL or anything like that, which can be a little bit scary in some spots. Heck, Boba Fett doesn't even die to a Rogue Operative attack, which is like just absurd if you think about it. They're going to attack. Sure, let's go ahead and Overwhelming Barrage Boba Fett. And I'm going to kill the Wing Leader here. I'm going to go 1 here, 5 on the Rogue Operative. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because we are definitely the more defensive player in this matchup. So I'm really just interested in kind of making sure they don't have too many things to really blow us out. And this also lets me set up for them potentially, flipping Sabine and us killing it with Boba. And if they don't, well, we just kill their units, claim the bounty, get a 3-drop, and then play our Dr. Evazan with a Boba Fett attack. Here, even though, actually, I think I just resource the mercenary gunship. I was saying I could resource the Maul and play a double play, but I think that just isn't necessary. Like, they can't actually deal immediate damage to me this turn unless they have a Millennium Falcon, and even if they do, well, they're in a bad spot anyways. They could flip Sabine, I suppose, but we just end up going ahead and finishing that off with a combination of like Dr. Evazan and Boba Fett, or we just attack their base, right? If we do 4, that's another 10 damage to their base. Let's say they had Millennium Falcon, they can do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say they had a surprise strike, that's 10 damage. So that's a lot of damage for sure. That's like best case scenario, right? Using all their resources, they got the attack in with Sabine, and they have the Millennium Falcon, and they have the surprise strike. But it looked like a little bit of a different list than I'm used to seeing. Unfortunately, we couldn't go with the Greedo Bounty Hunter's Quarry on turn 1 because Ketsuonyo defeats upgrades that cost 2 or less. So if we had played it, they just take initiative, they attack our base, and they defeat the Bounty Hunter's Quarry, which is real sad. Anyways, on to the next one. Into our next matchup, and this one's going to be a pretty interesting one once again because we got a Ray Red. I'm not a huge fan of this hand. I think I'm going to mulligan it, and we ended up into a pretty nice one because I'm going to go and resource this commission, and I think I will resource this Boba Fett's armor. To be honest, in this matchup, because they have Rivals Fall, I'm not really that excited about Boba Fett's armor. In some matchups, it's like super good, but not really in this matchup. Dr. Evazan's actually a really nice card to be playing against Ray Red because they don't really have like extremely high power plays. And I mean, in this spot, I'm just going to kill their Guardian of the Wills, but Dr. Evazan does a really nice job of like competing against Ray's early board potential. Timely Intervention looks great in the resource pile, and I would love to sit back and play a 7th Fleet Defender, then attack the Guardian of the Wills, then play a Greedo. But unfortunately for us, that's not really how this is going to work, mainly because if we were to do that, then they could have some sort of upgrade to play on their units. Now here, let's go and resource this Mercenary Gunship. I have a very, very, very high likelihood, or yeah, they're going to play a Jedi Lightsaber. It's exactly what I kind of thought, which makes it really easy because we are just going to... Okay, wait, they're not going to do that. They're going to try to give it an experience first. Okay. In that case, I think... Let's see if I want to risk it. I'm just going to attack in with Dr. Evazan here. Because I know they have the Jedi Lightsaber. So they're going to want to play it. And then we just go Relentless Pursuit and capture the Yoda. And now they have nothing. And they wasted the resources. And they probably expected to be able to kill my Dr. Evazan and get even more resources back. And then we get to put down a Fugitive Wookiee, which is awesome. So really kind of a nice start here for us. We even have ECL Zuckuss this turn. They could do something at Dr. Evazan where they, kind of deal a bunch of damage, but that is not a great start for them. Playing a Force Throw on an empty board is pretty bad for them. They don't even get any damage to my units, and we have a massive board right now. We just get to attack them numerous times. We can completely ignore this this distant controller. I suppose I could have played Zuckuss and then readied a Boba and then attacked with this to get a Greedo down, but I think that's just unnecessary. Like, I don't really see a reason to be doing that. Let's go to resource the Super Laser Technician. Remember, we have Commission and Timely Intervention, which is going to be pretty nice as well. And they readied up a Ray, and I'm just going to go and kill Ray. I know I could have killed or hit their base with 6 damage, but I think this kind of makes it so that we have the least amount of situations that goes wrong for us. Especially since we just have the whole board controlled. We also have the commission potential for a Fett's Fire Spray or to get some sort of bounty hunter, which we then can time intervention the following turn. I just figured if they're going to be playing or readying up a Ray immediately, they have to have something that synergizes with Ray, and relying on Ray to kind of close out the game, or not even close out the game, but make them come back. And we have an easy one shot, right? And besides, we still have lethal on board with what we got. So they still have to deal with the cards that we have. So that doesn't even get them out of the water. And then they have to deal with the cards again next turn, right? So anyways, pretty nice one. And 0 damage taken. On to the next. Into our next matchup, and we got ourselves a really interesting one. We got a Palp Blue, which I'm thinking that this hand is going to be pretty reasonable against. I'm going to go ahead and resource one of these 7th Fleet Defenders and one of these Greedos. And mainly because we're going to have a Fugitive Wookiee into 7th Fleet Defender into potential like a Greedo with an extra resource here. There's also, I could resource the Zuckuss and the Greedo, which now that I think about it is probably the more guaranteed value play. They're going to play a Pike Sentinel, which is totally fine because our Fugitive Wookiee just kills it and lives. So I love that. And this, because we didn't resource the 7th Fleet Defender, we have a 7th Fleet Defender into 7th Fleet Defender plus Greedo. I was thinking that 7th Fleet Defender would be awesome if you could play it alongside Greedo next turn. But then I was thinking, okay, there's a good chance that I'm not even going to be able to play a Greedo because I'm not going to ready up a resource because they're not going to have any resources to really ready up or any units to kill so that I can ready up my resources. So here I'm just going to go ahead and play this 7th Fleet Defender, kill their Pike Sentinel to ready up a resource, and then I'm going to play out a Greedo. Drew ourselves a 4-Lom and a price on your head. Looks like they're going to be trying to ramp here. They're probably just going to kill my Fugitive Wookiee by defeating the Super Laser Technician, probably exhausting like a 7th Fleet Defender. Yep. Let's go and attack in with Greedo. And we'll see if they play something. They played the Client. So in this case, I think what I want to do is no ambush, play out a 4-Lom. And the reason for this is if I had a Zuckuss here, then I could just completely slam in a Zuckuss and kill the Client. Because remember, it has Saboteur. Let's go ahead and resource this Time Intervention. I could always timely out a Super Laser Tech. But we're actually in a pretty bad spot here. We've not really had the greatest draw overall. Let's go ahead and discard a card. There is no great answer. No 2 damage to the Client, which would have really mattered here, actually. They have an Overwhelming Barrage. They can kill off my 4-Lom. Not really that strong of a play, but it does some work. Let's go ahead and flip Boba Fett. And then we're going to go ahead and attack in. Then we're going to play a 7th Fleet and a Mercenary Gunship, and then we're going to pass. Bosk is pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and resource this Super Laser Technician. They have a Client. Let's see, who do they put the bounty on? Or they're going to maul. Okay, so they're going to maul. Seems reasonable to me. Let's just go and attack and attack and attack. Attack, attack, attack. Let's play the boss. Let's ambush the Client. And let's pass. Commission being drawn could be interesting, but I'm going to resource it here because we do have this maul. Now, they could have a Super Laser Blast. Nope, they just have a Palpatine Yoink. Okay, that's fine. Honestly, we are in a really good spot here. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit their base. They took my Mercenary Gunship, but we have Maul to finish out the game on the Client. I could have attacked with the Mercenary Gunship first, I suppose, but this actually worked out better because this gives them less options to have to deal with my Super Laser or my 7th Fleets. Maul, ambush, kill the Client, and that's going to be the end of the game. GG. So we still are able to close out the game despite the Client coming out. Overlaying Barrage. We were able to trade with the Pike Sentinel early on. Wasn't too bad. The Super Laser Technician was really nice for them, but outside of that, I mean, I guess Maul one-shot my Boba. One of the reasons why I love Maul, by the way. But the 7th Fleet Defender was a really nice touch, and I'm pretty happy that I ended up keeping that card. Now, I think on that turn, if we had kept the Zuckuss, we wouldn't have gotten in as much damage, but we would have been able to kill the Client immediately with an ambushed out Zuckuss, and they wouldn't have had an Overwhelming Barrage target to kill my 4-Lom because they initially started that off with attacking Greedo. So there could have been a situation where we would have had the most insane board presence while also them not having anything and not having a play, but that seems unlikely. So I think that overall this ended up working out better than not resourcing the Zuckuss. So on to the next one. Okay, and to finish it off, we got ourselves a match against Lando Red, and we have a pretty mediocre hand, so I'm going to go and mulligan that one. And I mean, this was a pretty good one. We got ourselves a Fugitive Wookiee turn 1. And ideally, we're going to be able to trade. We're going to go to resource that commission and the Fett's Fire Spray. Or not even necessarily trade, but just like kill their unit. That would be awesome because we can go Super Laser Technician into Bounty Hunter's Quarry, potentially. Or more likely, we would play the Bounty Hunter's Quarry and then the Super Laser Technician afterwards. Okay, so they revealed our hand. We're gonna have to discard a card. This is a really bad play. Not like they had a better play, let's say, but them playing Lando and that being their only play is exceptionally exciting for us. Let's go ahead and resource that boss since we can play the Dr. Evazan and Bounty Hunter's Quarry this turn. And I think I'm going to start off with Dr. Evazan here just to see if they're going to play anything that we could Bounty Hunter's Quarry potentially and kill with the Fugitive Wookiee. Another Spark of Rebellion, huh? Okay, well, we are like super far ahead now. Attack for 3. They're going to claim initiative almost certainly, and we're going to pass. So, of course, the Forlom would have been nice here, but we have Commission plus Greedo. I resourced the Bounty Hunter's Quarry because our opponent's not even playing any units. And it looks like they're going straight into space here. Heck, the Lando deploy, which can come down this turn, doesn't even do that much because it's a 2-powered attacker, which is like really bad. But if you're playing like Lando and you have a 4-resource deploy leader and your only ability is about smuggling, and all you've done is go ahead and let's go ahead and commission here. All you've done is go ahead and play like a bunch of Spark Rebellions. Like that is an extremely weak start. Again, not that they had any other option. It's just that we are in such an amazing position now because of that. And now we can ECL out a Zuckuss and then play a Boba Fett afterwards, which is going to be excellent. And Commission set us up for the Fett's Fire Spray on the following turn, which is going to be awesome as well. Fleet Lieutenant, they can attack in for some damage. That's fine. Let's go ahead and just attack in with the Fugitive Wookiee. Just get in some damage immediately. If they ready up Lando, that's going to be fine. It looks like they played a Leia. Okay. See if they decide to ready up a resource. They're going to exhaust, I assume, Dr. Evazan, but it doesn't really matter. Like, this game is over. Like, ridiculously over. ECLing out a Zuckuss. Let's kill the Fleet Lieutenant. Let's ready up Boba. Let's attack their base. Let's play a Boba Fett. And I mean, you guys can't see this, but the game is so over. Like, it's not even close. We have a Forlom now, which is a 5/5 ambusher with Saboteur. We have the Fett's Fire Spray to finish out the game, and our opponent is basically done. Well, all of this could have been done way earlier, right? If they go on like A-Wing into Fleet Lieutenant, it would have been a whole different kind of story, right? Like, oh, they have a pretty aggressive start, but they went Spark Rebellion into A-Wing, do nothing, Fleet Lieutenant Leia. And they didn't even deploy Lando. And now we have Boba Fett out, and they haven't even deployed Lando on 6 resources. So this game has just been kind of a meme. Kind of a little bit of a meme. They can kill Zuckuss, but it doesn't really matter. The game is just over, unfortunately. It doesn't really matter how we attack. Our opponent doesn't have anything to deal with what we got. Because we have the Fett's Fire Spray in hand, and we have 3 units on the battlefield, there's just nothing that they could do. So GG, pretty straightforward for us here. Definitely fun seeing Lando decks, but unfortunately it didn't really get them there for them. Spark Rebellion's nice in these types of decks. Anytime you have a hand where you have to go Spark Rebellion, you are pretty sad in most situations because you're usually playing, well, you're playing oftentimes yellow heroism, and those decks tend to be more tempo oriented, so you really want to get down pressure before you play these cards. And so if our opponent didn't mulligan, that would have been a situation where maybe you mulligan, or maybe they had the lay and they just decided not to play it, but that would have also been a little bit tricky too, because we had the Fugitive Wookiee. Regardless, we had a good hand. Our opponent had a little bit of a shaky one, and we ended up getting there at the end. That was awesome. Let's talk about the deck here in the wrap up. So what have we learned with a Boba Fett Green? Well, the 2 cards that have continuously impressed me, and you even saw it in a lot of those games, have been Bounty Hunter's Quarry and Commission. Now, some games your opponent doesn't really play that many units, and you can't leverage Bounty Hunter's Quarry, or it doesn't really add up all that well. And then there's some games where you're playing it, it's the most broken card in the whole game because you played a 1 resource, get a 3-drop that you can search for. And most often, it's going to be a card that does some really nice value and is going to be a stronger card in your deck. There are, again, situations where Bounty Hunter's Quarry doesn't add up. That's kind of the gamble with some of these bounty cards. But because of the way Boba Green's situated, if you're not able to claim the bounties with Bounty Hunter's Quarry, that's generally going to be a matchup that's already in a situation where you were kind of playing it differently and you were going to resource those types of cards anyways, because Boba Fett's all about trying to get rid of units so that they can ready up additional resources and leverage that. And that's where kind of the sideboard comes in, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But commission also the ability to kind of search up and smooth out your draw in a little bit of the later stages of the game, especially in those games where you're drawing all these events. Fortunately, with Smuggle now, you can resource those events that we are trying to play, like Commission, and then play them out a little bit later on, and it ends up being pretty powerful. Every single card in the deck kind of performed its job. You saw Maul finish out games, Fett's Fire Spray, you saw finish out games, the Forlom and Zuckas, just big beaters. Boba Fett, 7th Fleet, Sweep Laser kind of core to the deck. Same with Dr. Evazan and Fugitive Wookiee. Honestly, it just kind of works well. There are some modifications that I have made. This is the list that I ended up running in general, just kind of like as an in general list against the Karabast meta. This is what I have found to kind of work well against what I continuously play against online. If I run into paper and I go to my local store, I might have swapped it up a little bit because our store or my store tends to lean a little bit more heavy on the control aspect, and that's where the sideboard comes in. So the sideboard over here, we've got ourselves 2 copies of Mach Clunky. This is really good against Sabine generally if you are trying to kind of leverage the additional resource and kind of like replay certain things. What you can do with this is like play out a Dr. Evazan, which is going to kill a unit most likely, and then reset the shield on it so Sabine can't leverage any additional resources, and then kill their space unit. I found Mach Clunky to be pretty good against that type of deck, especially if you're just trying to get to Boba Fett flip. Same with Boba Fett's armor in that style of matchup. Any mid-range matchup which doesn't have like Rivals Fall, Boba Fett's armor is pretty good against. Star Viper comes against more aggro decks, and then we have a little bit more different styles in Lurking TIE Phantom, the full play set in the sideboard. And this is because it just fits so well in so many different decks. If you're finding like Cad Bane, for example, TIE Phantom comes in and it just completely negates that ability. If you're against the more soft control decks, it really helps to have a TIE Phantom because it puts so much pressure on your opponent. And that's where you take out things like, well, potentially Bounty Hunter's Quarry, Timely Intervention, Relentless Pursuit, those types of cards, and you put in TIE Phantoms, and maybe even like more threats like Consortium Star Vipers. And then lastly, Traitorous. This is really, really exceptional in any sort of deck that's really going all in on a certain card. And we see that in some matchups with Dark Sabers. We see that with like Jedi Lightsabers and that type of card. So pretty overall good. Honestly, you don't need much to beat a lot of decks because Boba Fett flips so quickly and because you get to play so many cards by leveraging those additional resources, even against the soft control lists that you're seeing like Kira and Krennic Green. Or if you're playing something like Hondo Blue, for example, they have a lot of units, and all you need to do is have them have units, and all of your things function, right? Bounty Hunter's Quarry functions, your Boba Fett functions, Overwhelming Barrage, Relentless Pursuit, all these types of cards, and they're really solid. And so the meta is really shaping up well for Boba Fett in general, and that's why we're seeing Boba Yellow near the top. But I think Boba Green is also an extremely competitive option, and even has taken some spots. So if you're looking to play a different flavor of Boba, I suppose, try out some of these cards in your list and let me know how you think about or what you think about them. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all for the next one.